William will train her has everything a man could ever want. He's the heir of an upper-class family, a successful banker, and he's very handsome as well. He has a beautiful girlfriend named Alicia, and they have a happy life together, full of expectations for the future. One morning, his seemingly perfect life takes an unexpected turn when he suffers a terrible accident. It was raining, Will left late for work and he couldn't ride his motorcycle, so he decided to take a taxi. While he's crossing the street, not paying attention to his surroundings, he's hit by a motorcycle and loses movement on part of his body. Needless to say, his life is never the same. Although his family still has money to support him for the rest of his life, Will is suffering from depression because of his condition. On the other hand, there's Louisa Clark. She cannot be more different to William. Louisa is a pretty dorky girl that loves to wear colorful clothes and tell inappropriate jokes when she's nervous. She is fired from her job at a bakery, where she knows every customer by name, because they are having trouble making money. She resides with her parents, grandpa, sister and nephew in a small apartment building that barely fits everyone in. Her family is struggling with money, and Lou's firing couldn't have come at a worse time. Her parents are desperate because they need more money, so Lou starts searching for positions that would be good for her. The problem is that there's a shortage of jobs in her city. Her boyfriend, Patrick, an athletic young entrepreneur, suggests that Lou looks for a job as soon as possible, but Lou has difficulties because she doesn't have many qualifications. She used to toast tea cakes at a bakery. At the employment agency she goes to, there is almost nothing that she can do with her level of experience. Luckily for her, there is one job that may fit her expectations. The officer at the agency tells her that the position is for care and companionship for a disabled man, and it pays really well, though she will need to change her clothing style. She will have to drive, feed and assist the man in question for 6 months only. It's the 50th time they try to hire someone. They are really desperate. Louisa instantly accepts the opportunity. Back at home, her mother helps her to dress more appropriately with a short skirt, a blouse and a jacket. It's completely opposite to Lou's style, which she hates. Later, she takes the bus to the trainer's castle where Will's mother, Camilla, is waiting for her. She's a very elegant lady, and as soon as Louisa arrives, she takes her to the tea room so she can interview her. The castle is gigantic and old. Louisa is in awe that she's in a place like that. During the interview, Camilla asks Louisa if she has any experience in caregiving or quadriplegia, and Louisa replies that she doesn't, but she's a fast learner. Camilla explains that the patient doesn't have feeling on his legs and can barely move his arms and hands, then asks Louisa if it bothers her. Louisa makes an inappropriate joke, then as she's trying to correct herself, her skirt rips at the side. Things are not looking good for her. She starts getting nervous and babbles to answer Camilla's inquiries about her professional dreams for the future. At the beginning, she doesn't know what to answer. After all, she comes from a working-class family and probably never thought too hard about what career she wants to have. She's just desperate for a job, so she answers Camilla honestly. Her clumsy way must have satisfied Camilla, because she asks Louisa if she can start right away. Louisa's really excited and happy at the opportunity. Camilla takes her to meet Will and explains how the job works. William resides in a side of the castle that used to be the stables, but it was adapted for his needs. It's basically a house inside a big room with a living room, kitchen and bathroom. It's there that Louisa is going to spend the most time while working. Camilla tells Louisa that she wants her to be friends with Will, rather than act as just a paid professional. Louisa is overwhelmed by the amount of information, and she hasn't even met Will yet. Before opening the doors to Will's room, Camilla explains that he has good and bad days. That sounds ominous to Louisa, but she puts on a shaky smile on her face and faces Will. His hair is shoulder length and he has a full beard, different from his well-kept appearance from before the accident. He narrows his eyes at Louisa, and when she introduces herself, he starts making weird noises and faces that makes everyone in the room uncomfortable. Camilla pleads for him to stop, and after some time mocking Louisa, he does. He introduces himself and points out her ripped skirt while Louisa tries to hide it. His nurse and friend, Nathan, tells him he's a bad man. Camilla leaves the room after informing Louisa that Nathan is going to help her, and Louisa is left alone with the two men. Will is not welcoming at all. Louisa isn't very encouraged after the first encounter with the man she's supposed to be friends with, but her family is so happy with the news she got a good job that she's determined to do her best. Next day, she goes back to the mansion with her colorful clothes and pigtails. Nathan explains Will's schedule, then leaves her alone with the cranky man. Louisa's job is to cheer him up and take him out of his misery, but Will is relentless. Anything Louisa suggests on doing with him, he denies with a sarcastic remark, up to the point where she prefers to leave him alone. 10 days go by like this, and Louisa is sick of it. Every day she tries to approach and talk to Will. One day she even brings him flowers, but it's pointless. He's always cranky or has something bad to say about her. Needless to say, it's not her dream job. She complains to her sister, Trina, that Will always looks at her as if she's stupid. Her sister advises her to give him time to get used to her, so maybe he'll treat her better. Louisa is thinking about quitting when Trina tells her she's going to move out with her son, so it will be one less salary for their family. With no other option, Louisa has to continue working for Will. Next day, Will's ex-girlfriend and his best friend visit him. Louisa makes herself scarce for most of the visit, but as she's bringing coffee for them, she overhears Alicia telling Will that she and his best friend are together now. Will sarcastically congratulates them, and they leave soon after. Will is understandably mad and breaks all his portraits in a fit of anger. Louisa rushes towards him and tells him to not move while she cleans things up. Later that day, Louisa complains to her boyfriend Patrick about the whole situation. She cannot believe that his ex-girlfriend and friend could do that to him. Patrick disagrees with her. He thinks if it were him in that situation, he wouldn't be able to spend the rest of his life like that. Then he asks her if she wants to go to Norway for the holidays, and when she says yes, he celebrates with his friends. Confused, Louisa asks him why he's celebrating, and he explains that he's going to go to a triathlon. Louis is upset, but there's nothing she can do. Next day, Louisa tries to fix Will's portraits and he gets mad at her about it. This time, though, instead of just smiling like she always does, she claps back at him, saying that he doesn't need to be an ass all the time, that she's only doing her job, and it doesn't matter if he hates her, she'll continue working until his mother deems her presence unnecessary. That shuts Will up, since it's probably the first time someone doesn't pity him and puts him in his place. For Will, Louisa has just gotten more interesting. As the days go by, their relationship improves a bit. Will stops being an asshole all the time. They watch foreign movies together, which is something Louisa has never done before, and he even asks questions about her life. He's astounded at how simple her life is compared to what he was used to before the accident. One day, they are at the hospital when Louisa finds out Will never get better, and that he has many health problems. Louisa is surprised because she thought it wasn't a permanent thing and with enough physical therapy he would get better. Moving on, it's already winter and Louisa has been working with Will for a couple of months already. On a particularly snowy day, Will gets the chills, and Louisa has to stay with him through the night. While he's sleeping, she grabs his notebook and watches a video he had made before the accident. In the video, Will jumps off cliffs, snowboards and does all kinds of extreme sports while his friends record him. When he wakes again, Louisa asks him what happened and he tells her about the accident. Then, he asks her to tell her a fun story, and she tells him of her childhood. Their shared stories deepen their tentative friendship even more, and they start spending more time together. In their conversations, Will encourages Louisa to spend her life in a more fun manner. Louisa was supposed to go to university and study fashion, which she loves, but her family needed help. Will sees potential in Louisa and tells her she should enjoy life more. He's being a hypocrite, though, because later that same day, Louisa overhears Will's parents arguing about his wish to end his life in 6 months. His father agrees, but his mother doesn't want to lose her son. What is worse, it's not the first time Will tries to end his life. Now Louisa has a tough decision to make. She's shaken by what she learned, and doesn't want to get attached to Will only to lose him in 6 months. When she tells that to her sister, Trina suggests that she takes this time to help him enjoy life. Put the money his parents have for good use. Hopefully, if all works out, she may even change his mind. Louisa starts preparing activities for Will with the help of his parents. They go watch a horse race, and it doesn't end well. But Louisa is determined. She invites Will to watch a Mozart concert with her and he agrees. It's a date. Louisa gets her best dress out and she looks gorgeous in a red dress. Will thinks so too. During the concert, he watches Louisa's reaction instead of the orchestra, and she doesn't realize. When they come back, Will doesn't want to go back to his house right away. He wants to feel as if he's only a man who has just been on a date with a girl in red. Next day, Louisa invites Will to meet her parents and boyfriend at her birthday dinner party. Surprisingly, he accepts, which makes Louisa really happy. On the day of the dinner, Louisa can barely contain her happiness. Her boyfriend arrives almost 30 minutes late and he's not dressed for the occasion. During dinner, as Louisa helps Will eat, Patrick watches and he's not happy about his girlfriend taking such good care of another man. Their relationship doesn't seem to be doing great because Patrick thinks only about himself. So much so, that he gives Louisa a necklace with his name written on it for her birthday. Meanwhile, Will gives her a thoughtful gift that she absolutely loves, the bumblebee socks that she used to have as a kid. Louisa is ecstatic and it's obvious his gift was better than Patrick's. He isn't happy about Louisa's relationship with Will, but he doesn't mention it to her. Moving on, Louisa and Will continue growing close, and Will isn't the bitter man he used to be before he met her. One day, he receives an invitation for the marriage of Alicia and his best friend, Rupert. Will asks if he can take Louisa somewhere, and she says yes. They go to his favorite place in his childhood, a place in the castle where he used to play a lot. There he confesses to Louisa that the best place on earth is Paris, and that he remembers the times he went there in the past, to eat croissants and drink coffee while pretty French girls stared at him. Louisa suggests they go there together, but Will doesn't want to go to a place where he had such good memories and taint it. He hates himself right now, hates that he can't do the things he used to do before the accident. Louisa's eyes fill with tears as she listens to him. Will surprises her, though, when he says that he wants to go to Alicia's wedding with her. Later that day, Louisa arrives home and sees her mother dressed up. She is going to celebrate her father's new job working for the trainers in the castle. The job is going to help the family financially and give Louisa a break because she has been working non-stop to help at the house. Instead of sharing her parents' excitement though, Louisa is upset. She calls Will to talk to him about it. She feels as if she's taking advantage of him, but he denies. He tells her it was a coincidence, but also that it's the perfect opportunity for her to think about herself for the first time and spread her wings. Louisa doesn't know what to make of that. Next day, things are back to normal between them. Louisa is there working when there's a knock on the door. It's a strange man coming to meet with Will. Louisa thinks it's strange since he rarely has visitors and the man doesn't look like Will's friend. Will tells her they will talk in private, and she leaves them be. She's too curious for her own good, though. She Googles the name of the man and finds out he's a lawyer specialist in wills. It's like a bath of cold water for her. It's obvious that Will hasn't given up the idea of dying. Louisa tells his mother that, and she finds it surprising because he looked happier in the last couple of months. Louisa agrees, but there isn't much to do now. Before she leaves Camilla, she asks Louisa to look after him at Alicia's wedding. It's the big day, and both Louisa and Will look beautiful. When Alicia enters the church with her dad, Will stares at her and probably wonders if that could have been him marrying her years ago. Louisa notices, but there is nothing she can do to alleviate his pain of seeing someone he loved getting married to another man. Later, at the reception, Will's former co-worker appears and tells him that his office isn't the same without him. Then, when Louisa arrives, he remarks that Will's life isn't so bad if he's dating a woman like her. Louisa, who isn't used to receiving compliments about her appearance, doesn't understand that the man was complimenting her. Will makes sure to tell her straight, though, that she looks beautiful. After some time, Louisa is drinking while Will is watching Alicia and Rupert dance. It's obvious the couple are smitten with each other. A woman appears at their table and starts a conversation with Louisa. She's Alicia's godmother, but she doesn't have a good opinion on the bride. She says that it was a shame that Alicia let Will go, that he is a good man, while Rupert is an asshole. Louisa is thoughtful as she glances at Will. Few moments later, Alicia stops by and thanks Will for coming. He tells her a lie about the gift he bought her, and when she leaves, Louisa and him laugh together about it. The dance floor is free for the guests, so Louisa invites Will for a dance. She sits on his lap while he controls his wheelchair, which makes the upper-class guests appalled at their improper behavior. Neither of them care about what other people are thinking. They are stuck in their own world. Will asks Louisa to come closer, because she smells amazing. Then he jokes that she has never put her breasts so close to his face, to which she replies that he would have never even looked at her breasts if he wasn't in a wheelchair. He would be looking for the leggy blonde like Alicia while Louisa would be serving drinks. Will agrees with her, but says he was a rude person before. While Louisa is having fun at his honesty, Will confesses to her that she is the only thing that makes him want to get up in the morning. Louisa tells him that they should go somewhere together, anywhere he wants, just the two of them. Will finally agrees and Louisa is really happy. They spend that night at a hotel together, though nothing romantic happens. When they return home, Will's sweating, which means his body is having issues, but he doesn't care. He had a really nice time with Louisa and that's all that matters. Now Louisa needs to tell Patrick that she isn't going to Norway with Patrick. She explains that she needs to work. Patrick is upset because her job is her priority at the moment, not him. In the middle of their argument, Louisa receives a message that Will's at the hospital because of pneumonia. Louisa goes running there and stays at the hospital until Will wakes up. Next day, she goes to his house and there she meets Nathan. He tells her that Will's life is hard, he suffers from pains and nightmares. He can't judge Will for what he wants to do because he's not the one suffering. Still, Louisa can't think about him passing away. Her plan is to see other doctors to be sure there's nothing left to do for Will. When she returns home, she has a surprise. Patrick has made them dinner, and he apologizes for the way he behaved. Their truce doesn't last long, because Patrick finds out that the trip Louis is planning on doing with Will is full of romantic stuff that usually couples do, like massages and hot tubs under the stars. They argue again and Patrick leaves. The day of the trip arrives. They have the best time there, and even Nathan finds a woman to hang out with. At night, Will asks Louisa to stay with him in his bedroom, and she accepts. When she helps settle Will on the bed, the mood between them changes. She's close to his face, and they are staring deeply into each other's eyes. Slowly, tentatively, they kiss. It's very romantic, and a big step in their relationship. Next day, they are closer than ever. Louisa goes scuba diving. Then, at night, they are stargazing at the beach when Louisa sits on Will's lap. They kiss again, but before things move forward, Will says he has to tell her something. He's going to tell her about his plans of passing away, but Louisa interrupts him and says that she already knows. Then she tells him she could make him happy if he lets her, but Will doesn't want to have a life that's so different from what he was used to. He was a very active man, he loves practicing sports and living life to the fullest. Sadly, now his life is a struggle. Louisa pleads with him to understand, to try to give her a chance. It's pointless. Will is afraid that one day she's going to regret being with him, and he doesn't want that day to come. He tells her that he wants her to have a great life with someone who can give it to her. While Louisa begs him to reconsider, he tells him that he's thankful for the night she has given him. He's decided to go to Switzerland when they come back and to end things there. He even asks Louisa to go with him. Louisa can't accept it. She calls him selfish because he wants her to watch the worst thing, which is to see him take his life. Before she goes away and leaves him alone, she tells him that she regrets taking the job and meeting him. Will yells after her, but she doesn't return. Louisa is ready to go back home, and things are very awkward between them. They're silent the whole trip. When they arrive, Will's parents are there waiting for them, and they are happy to see Will doing so well. His father suggests they go eat at a restaurant, and Louisa takes the opportunity to leave. Camilla goes after her, and Louisa apologizes and tells her they don't need to pay her. Camilla bursts down in tears because Louisa leaving could only mean one thing. Will didn't change his mind, not even for her. During dinner with her parents, her mother can't believe that Will's parents are willing to let him pass away like that. She thinks it's wrong and doesn't want Louisa to witness what she considers murder. Later, her father comforts her by saying that it's not Louisa's fault that Will didn't change his mind. He also tells her that they left for Switzerland that morning, and Louisa wonders if she has made a mistake by not going with them. Her father suggests that she calls them. Maybe there's time for her to go. Louisa's sister takes her to the train station. Then she goes to where Will and his parents are. It's a beautiful country home with a view to a garden full of flowers. Louisa goes in and sees Will lying down on the bed. His parents are with him, but they leave to give them privacy. Louisa lies down next to him and asks him to tell her something good. He sings her the same song she sang him months before. They stare at each other as he sings, then they kiss for the last time. Next, Will asks Louise to call his parents back. It's time. Weeks later, after Will's death, she receives a letter with instructions for her to go to Paris. She goes there and does as Will asks her to. She wears her bumblebee tights and goes to the coffee shop he mentioned was his favorite place. She orders croissants and black coffee as she reads his letter. He tells her that when she returns home, his lawyer, the same she had seen at his home months previous, will give her access to a bank account with enough money that she can do whatever she wants moving forward. He tells her to not freak out because it's not enough for her to do nothing for the rest of her life, but she can start over and do anything she wants to. Things that she never could do because she was always putting her family before herself. He tells her to spend her life boldly and freely, to not settle. Also, that she has been in his heart from the moment she walked in his room with her big smile, ridiculous colorful clothes, bad jokes and clumsiness. He tells her to go to a perfumery and buy a specific fragrance. He wants her not to think about him too often and to spend her life. He'll be with her every step she takes in her new life. Louisa goes sightseeing around Paris, holding the last piece of wool she has.